AM 1430 KRGI 105.5 FM. Good morning. I'm Brian Gallagher. We have a guest online today from Central District Health Department. Andrew Hills is checking in to make sure that we are aware that it is an awareness week or an awareness month. Time to be aware for severe weather. Good morning. How you been?
Good morning, Brian.
I know there's a test today to make sure that we are at the top of our awareness for severe weather. In Nebraska, we tend to take some of these things for granted. Let's let people know the things they should do, and that way they can be as prepared as possible, because severe weather doesn't care what you're doing or where you've been. It happens, and you'd better be ready for it.
That's right. I mean, yesterday is a case in point as to how changeable things can be. I drove to work in a blizzard, and I drove home in beautiful sunny weather. So things can change quickly here. I think the most important takeaways from this week, this is Severe Weather Awareness Week. And as you said, today at 10 o'clock, there is a statewide tornado drill. If your place of work is following that, just like we are, then we'll be conducting a drill, making sure that everyone knows where the shelters are and how to get there, etc. What I would say is this is a really good opportunity, even if you can't manage it today, but this week, to take a look at where you would go to shelter in the event of a tornado at home or at your place of work. If you have a business and have never done a tornado drill, sometime this week is an excellent week to do it. At 10 o'clock, when the weather radios will go off for the statewide drill, is when we do ours. But little things are the things that make the difference. It's no point in saying, oh, this is our designated shelter. Where is the shelter? Is it a safe environment? Are there lots of tins of paint on the wall that could fall off? Do you know what I mean? Is there enough space in there for people? Is there somewhere to sit? Have you got anything in there? Have you got a flashlight with spare batteries? Do you know your route out of there? If you go to your shelter and there is a tornado, maybe the electricity is off. When it's time to get out, how do you know which way to get out? And that's just as important in your home as it is at work. So one of the things we've done here at the Health Department, because of COVID, we haven't had a chance to do a full-scale drill for a couple of years now, is to take all the new members of staff and to walk them down the corridors and show them the nearest shelters to where they are. Because people get, as you said before, people get used to it. They get out of practice with knowing where the shelters are and what to listen and look for.
Thinking back to days in school when we had the old fire drills where everybody would gather and get lined up and get ready to either exit the building or wherever going to the shelter you talked about, as kids, it got to be a routine. But if it's something that you don't practice or you aren't prepared for, when that moment happens, suddenly, as panic starts to become part of your psyche, there are things that get forgotten or get a little out of routine. So it's a good idea to make sure you're prepared.
Yeah, absolutely. And to make sure you have things on hand. I mean, if you're like me, you probably tend to operate with 10% of your phone capacity at any one time, just because charging it up continuously. Maybe that's something you want to be aware of in your shelter and have like one of those phone battery packs in there, or a battery powered or wind up weather radio so you can listen to updates when you're in there. Make it a comfortable space to be, because you might be in that room for a couple of hours in a real event. And just as we've touched on in previous years, when I've said, the golden three rules of be informed of hazards in your area, make a plan for what you're going to do, and build a kit. The big thing for weather is being informed. So those weather radios, your weather alert app, or whatever it's going to be on your phone are key. And if your phone goes dead, you aren't going to get to use that app. If your radio is just a plug-in, that's not going to work either. The modern NOAA weather radios are really easy and convenient. And know what it is that's going on. So knowing the difference between a tornado watch and a tornado warning. So a tornado watch is that all the ingredients are there for a tornado to be possible, in the weather conditions. But a tornado warning is that there is a tornado now and you must seek shelter immediately. So knowing some of the terminology is that just that being informed. Making a plan is the practicing your route. And the building a kit is just making sure you have a few basic items just so that you could sit in there for a couple of hours without going stir crazy in a real event, because it's not going to help you if you're not in the room.
So maybe a little water, perhaps a
Mhm.
snack. Don't overdo it. You mentioned the batteries. Kleenex is probably a good idea. These are the types of things that you would say, oh, I'll just run upstairs and get one. You may not be able to do that.
I mean, for example, I'll tell you what I do. I've got in my basement, I have my utility room. It's got some metal shelving and it's got a concrete floor. Well, I'm not going to lie on the shelving any more than I'm going to sit on the floor for several hours. So a couple of folding chairs, a blanket, some water, a pack of cards, a jigsaw puzzle, my radio, flashlights, and batteries. We're not talking a lot of money. We're not talking a lot of complicated equipment. I'm not prepping for Armageddon here, but I am making sure that we could spend a couple of hours in there during a tornado warning, if needs be, in relative comfort. And for me, with a couple of dogs at home, trying to make sure that they stay calm and looked after as well.
Severe Weather Awareness Week. Do what you can to make sure you and your home and your family are as ready as can be. Now, if folks have a question, can they give a call, or is there a website they could go to?
Yeah, well, they can go to ready.gov is an excellent resource for where they can go to be informed, gives advice on making a home emergency plan and on the sort of things to think about for putting in an emergency kit, whether it's for a shelter or if it's in the event of flooding, that kind of business. They can come to our website at CDHD. They can phone up. So they can go to ready.gov, as I said before. It's probably the best place to go, however.
A lot of places with answers. Andrew Hills from Central District Health Department. Thanks, and stay safe.
Thank you, Brian.
Good morning from AM 1430 KRGI 105.5 FM.